Well, we've got a 200A, and the volume changes inconsistently, sometimes pops in and out, and we weren't sure what it was. So we took a look at the amplifier. The heatsink was getting a little hotter than normal, so we located Q9 on the base of Q9. It looked like a cold solder joint. We resoldered it, and now the heatsink after about 2 minutes is not getting hot, but we're wondering if there's something else that's not right. What we're going to do is we're going to remove the reed bar preamp. That's always usually a welcome idea. And we're then going to hook up our audio generator. I see a tiny bit of crossover, but that does not appear to be the, yeah, right there. Now we just had this changed. That may not be serious enough to do anything about, but the problem is the amplifier is not cutting out. Oh, I don't have the reed bar. It's not getting hot anymore. So it looks like that cold solder joint on the base of Q9 might have been the culprit for the bias, but that doesn't give us. See, I'm striking it and I'm getting two different variations. No volume. And then suddenly I get volume.
Is it in the preamp then?
May not be. It could be the reed bar itself. The voltage on the reed bar, so there's a key that's loud. And it's consistently loud, and then all of a sudden it just drops. And then it comes back up again. With a pop. All right, we're scoping the output of the preamp itself, and we have 50 millivolts per centimeter on the scope for the vertical, and we're only getting about 100 millivolts out. The reed bar typically is about 40 millivolts in, so it's inconsistent, and we're not getting much in the way of volume, and now all of a sudden we do. So it sounds like something is touching underneath the reed bar action where it would cut out. Obviously something shorting out the reed bar would kill the audio. Now it's nice and loud. So I think the problem is under here. Although the bias, see now this thing is not overheating. That was a cold solder joint, believe it or not, on the base of Q9. It just didn't make good contact.
Okay. All right, let's take the top off.
All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to remove our top, and we're going to unscrew some screws. We're going to turn this off for a second. And then, all right, when troubleshooting and you want to narrow it down between the reed bar preamp and the power amplifier, this lead right here, it comes off. It's going to the this one right here. It's going to the out of the preamp, and this post right here is the input to the power amplifier. So what you can do, if you need to do this, if you want to troubleshoot, is to put your audio generator on there, and that way you can troubleshoot the power amp separately. Now, if the problem does not manifest itself at the power amp, then it must be at the preamp. If you want to, you can scope the preamp directly right here. And if necessary, you can go to the preamp itself with your oscilloscope and check out. Our change in volume was caused by a loose screw on the preamp reed bar connection. The ground screw was tight, but the other one wasn't. And that will sometimes produce, with vibration, will produce a change in the voltage, and of course that will just produce some unusual results in the audio. And the crossover distortion is observed by taking your scope probe on the amplifier out and looking at the waveform. Turn that 2 clicks to the left. There we go. Now see there, it doesn't appear to be there. There's a decay, and I don't see any crossover. Usually you can tell when you got it because there's a discontinuity. Instead of being a smooth curve, it's a notch. If it's only occurring at high volumes and not under decay, it's not crossover. That's one of the outputs not tracking.
See it?
On the high frequency. Alright. But that's not crossover. Crossover has a notch, and it's on the decay only at low volumes. For example, if I were to take the preamp off and put the audio generator back on, crossover distortion is worse on low volume levels than high volume levels, and that's because they don't track very well.
You can see it.
Yeah, there's crossover there. The discontinuity is sitting there. Well, this means that there'll be some further transistor changes. Probably not the outputs. When an output is severely damaged, the two halves of the sine wave waveform are not symmetrical at all. One's much bigger than the other, and one may be flattened off or turning square before the other is. So this looks like there was some damage to the amplifier from that cold solder joint. It wasn't obviously doing the right thing, so the bias was rather hot and rather heavy. So we'll check into that in a moment and change a couple of transistors, and we'll be on our way. We think that maybe even 9 may be damaged itself because the thing wasn't properly making good contact, but usually that's a case of 10 and 12 that have that problem. 14 usually doesn't, when one side becomes erratic or does not want to track properly or has distortion on one side and not on the other. That's usually 14 or the outputs. Alright, so we're going to take this one step further and do a little magic with the transistors.